I mentioned the other day one of the sessions, outside of work, I'm chair of the board of the local Aboriginal Health Service in Canberra, Woononga Nimijay Aboriginal Health Service, best AMS in the country as far as I'm concerned. But when you work in a community organisation or are involved in a community organisation, there's one time of the year that's the most terrifying time of the year, and that's AGM time, when everybody gets together, because they're risky times. But I want to, and I only highlight that to speak to something that I think is really unique about and special about this gathering. I wasn't at the previous gathering at the University of Sydney, so by definition that makes this one the better event because I'm here and get to participate in it. But I think something's happened in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australia, which again, I can only speak reliably about that. I don't know whether it was the process of the dialogues that led to the gathering at Uluru that produced the Uluru Statement from the Heart, which is a magnificent document. And I think for us as a country to not consider that in a really serious way is a serious problem going forward. But it's a magnificent document. But the thing that struck me about the Uluru Convention and the document that it produced was the ability to run a process of dialogues that led to a major gathering of a large number of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and produce such unanimity, not total, but such unanimity of a view that's embodied in that statement is remarkable. And I suspect, I don't have any real empirical reason for saying this, just my gut, that series of dialogues and leading to that convention has done something in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australia that has reminded us of the importance of coming together and the importance of sharing common cause and having that the focus of what we do. I saw that then reflected again at the Governance Summit in Canberra. I think it was an Anzac ANU event. And then at the Public Servants Forum that we held just in last December. And I see it here. So the first remark that I want to make is about the context of this gathering, these 2 days, where we've been able to find common cause in, as Leilani said, our passion about our communities, our passion about the work that we do, our commitment to the work that we do, to find common cause in that and come together with all of our diverse views and different views about what that means and how we progress that, I think is remarkable. So the thing that struck me about this event is that so many of us have been able to come together. There's been no rancour, at least that I've seen. No rancour, no disagreement, no violent disagreement, you know what I mean, no rows. But just a coming together from all of our different perspectives and different places around this idea of reimagining public administration. And frankly, that's been really exciting. That reimagining didn't involve dismissing the work that we do or the profession that we're engaged in. It involved critique, it involved deep thought, but all of that is really good. It involved, chiefly for me, my observation, a commitment on the part of all of us to be better at what we do. The need to be better at what we do. And I think that's really important. I had a note here about my bad piano playing. I play piano pretty basically and pretty badly. But it would be tempting for me to mask my lack of technical skill, my lack of mastery of the keyboard by calling it improvisation. And there's been none of that pretense. You know, sometimes we want to hide sometimes our lack of mastery and our sometimes need to hone our skill and our technical mastery in the work that we do, and we hide it behind improvisation, whatever term we might want to call it, flexibility, or whatever, or dare I say it, sometimes even culture. But there's been, the thing that my observation has been a thorough commitment to being better. And so I want to congratulate ANZOG for a spectacular event. My one disappointment on behalf of several people was that there was no traditional karaoke at dinner last night. People had to go out and find that somewhere in Melbourne, but something to file away for next time. Maybe even a trans-Tasman karaoke battle. Look at you, all of them singing Maori, bring it on. That's what your mob said when you came to play football last week, hey? And guess what? We brought it on. I will say something about last night, the dinner though, and the importance of language and Len Collard made the point about the way that we as Indigenous people have taken the English language and we've repurposed it and we rework it. And when you get us in environments where we're being less formal, perhaps less formal, we have a way of speaking to one another that just connects us, and speaking with one another that connects us and causes us to relax. And that was the experience I had, although I was slightly nervous, when Stephen Oliver took to the stage last night. A finer example of Aboriginal English you could not find. So ANZOG, congratulations, it's been spectacular, and you know, without sounding wanky, I think as probably the most senior Commonwealth official in the place, terrific. And there should be another one of these, and that will be my vote. And, you know, can I just also suggest that planes fly both ways across the Tasman? So maybe another one over there. Not that I'm looking for a junket at all. In terms of content, I want to just pick up a few things that I observed. I probably will use my 20 minutes now. First, the issue of co-design, but one of the things I found really interesting is all of us, I detected an absolute tiredness with buzzwords. And also an intolerance of the fact that we talk about this new thing called co-design as though it's never been talked about before, it's never been proposed before. My friend Jeff Richardson, who's up there, also brand new PSM in the last round of Order of Australia Awards, and thoroughly well deserved. You should give him a clap. And you know, my nomination forms are up the back. Jeff and I have conversations about this. Do you remember a few years ago there was this narrative about 30 years of policy failure in relation to self-determination? How many remember that in Australia, 30 years of policy failure? And Jeff, I remember, he's a very calm man, very rarely gets frustrated, but he got frustrated in this moment, and I won't quote exactly what he said to me in a private conversation because we're subject to a code of conduct and a set of values. But he made the point is that we've never done it. It was such an outrageous claim that self-determination as a policy had failed when it had never been done in the first place. But there are some things that keep coming around, and co-design is one of them. And one of the things I picked up was a kind of an intolerance of just buzzwording what we do. But also I thought one of the comments that struck me, and I think it was Karen Driver that made the comment on the panel. Karen, I'm not sure if you're still here, you can correct me if you don't like what I'm about to say and you don't want to claim it. But, and it was the idea that well, maybe we need to go actually beyond co-design. And I think the phrase that she used, or the person, I think it was Karen, was about you give us the money for a singular design. Because there is still this slight, I think, and I detected a bit of discussion around that this week, there's still this slight idea that you couldn't possibly allow Indigenous people to design things for ourselves without whitefellas. And maybe that's where we need to push the boundary a little bit more. Maybe we can design stuff for ourselves. Create a pathway, Winston Matthews said to me at lunchtime. Gammon shy there, look. We've got to create a pathway, it's our job. So I thought there was some interesting comment about that. Today I attended Sana Nakata and Sarah Madison's panel on relationships between Indigenous people and settler states. Marvellous. A little less politically wonky than you might have thought, but really focused on the point of relationships as the basis of what we do. Most people who don't work in the public sector misunderstand the public sector, and they think that we're all process driven and about structure and about hierarchy and about all of that. I can tell you from Canberra's point of view, that is not the way Canberra works. Canberra works entirely on the basis of relationships and people and connections that we build, yes, within structures, but we don't get anything done just because there's a process to get it done. You have to work the process, and that involves relationships, and that came up again and again. The other thing about this is this event is a point of connection and reconnection for people who in very busy lives get disconnected from one another, and we get an opportunity to hear one another. My brother from New Zealand here talked about coming to Australia to get to hear Michelle's story. Because in the busyness of life, we don't often get to hear one and connect with one another, and that's a really important thing. I was struck yesterday by Darren Bean's comment about the need for us, and I'll quote it exactly, but we can apply it in our own context, to see with Māori eyes, to hear with Māori ears, and to feel with a Māori heart. Stick in Koori, whatever you want to put in, Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander. How important is that to the job that we're doing? And again, to pick up the issue of culture. And I want to suggest that one of the things that that's animated all of us is not the idea of culture as a sort of a defined body of knowledge that we can kind of, like this is culture and we can pick it up like that, but culture as a context within which we work. And how important that is to us as Indigenous people, because it creates the ability to see peripherally and to see connections and opportunities that other people in our agencies don't see. And that's part of the great value add that we bring, not a linear tunneled vision about the way the world works, but a distributed and connected perspective on the way the world works that can only make our policy making and our public administration better. So look, thank you. I'll close with a phrase from my own language, Nianangalu, which in Dungari means let us work together. And we need to do that. One of the things I would like to see come out of this is some kind of, I'm really big on particularly Indigenous public sector networks. And so if there's something that emerges from this that connects us in a more regular and an ongoing way, other than just an occasional conference or every 2 years, that would be fantastic. Thanks, everyone.